What's going on, guys? It's Friday, and welcome to another episode of MontySpeakss. Now, I know it's late, you can tell, but today's episode, what was taught changing as you get older? And basically, what that means is what we were taught as kids may not have necessarily been true. I know for a lot of us, when we grow older, we come to certain realizations that some of the things we may have been taught, endured, the trauma that we've gone through, doesn't seem as valid as what it is now. Now, to me, to a certain extent, I agree to that. But I look at it this way. Everything that I was taught growing up molded me into the character or person I am today. Do I think a lot of the things that I went through as a child should have happened? No. But that was all part of God's plan. And I can't negate that. Little by little, I start to understand a little bit of what was happening to me. And it makes me go back to my mom and think she wasn't as bad as I made it out to seem when I was younger in school, or even just how I perceived her. She wasn't 100% right, but she wasn't 100% wrong. And I think that's a lot of the times what you have to do as the person who's dealing with that is learn how to break those generational curses. People talk about generational curses all the time, and nobody ever talks about how we break them. And normally, when we talk about how we break them, the first thing that comes to mind is, I gotta get rich, or I gotta make a lot of money to break generational curses. And to me, I don't agree with that. I feel like getting rich, making a lot of money is just a band-aid. I feel like to truly break these so-called generational curses, you have to go where people don't want to go. That trauma you felt, you have to deal with it, accept it, and learn how to move past it. So let me tell you a little bit about me in this particular instance. Believe it or not, even though I make these videos and it seems like I'm really confident, I guess some people would say that I am, I've even gotten cocky before. Hey, it is what it is. I'm actually scared of a lot. I'm nervous, I'm jittery, I have anxiety, I have all these different things due to my trauma. Now, first and foremost, let me go ahead and say this, because what I won't have y'all doing is trying to figure out who my Dukes is and trying to back. My mom is the greatest mom. Okay? I'm giving my mom all flowers. But I also want to point out, I don't know what that was, but okay. God shined this light on me after I gave praise to my Dukes. But I also want to let people know that what I went through in my life, I felt was unjustified. But I never let that hinder my thought process with my mom. Well, at least now. So basically what I'm saying is I went through a lot with my mom, to the point where my love can be shown in resentment in certain aspects. And I don't resent my mom at all. But some of the things that she taught me, some of the things that she instilled in me, I didn't like her methods, but it, like I said, molded me. I was not confident because I wasn't supported, at least in the way that I wanted to be supported. I'm sure my mom did the best that she could to support me in the ways that she knew how due to her circumstances. But as a kid growing up, I love basketball. If you know me, you know I love basketball. I'm very analytical when it comes to basketball. In my personal opinion, ain't nobody that's not in the NBA smarter than me when it comes to basketball. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. It's just how I feel. Sorry. And I wanted to play. And being honest with myself, I had the drive to do it. If I was as consistent as I would like to be, I'd be halfway decent. I wouldn't say I'm NBA caliber, but I could play. I don't really think many of you out there could really beat me. But hey, I felt slighted a bit in that support. I felt like the things in my interest weren't supported. So in my mind, without that support, I did not have the confidence to move forward as an adult. And a lot of you may be thinking, where's that correlation? To me personally, my love language, or how I respond best, is words of affirmation. That to me looks like not necessarily saying you're doing a great job, I love this, that, and the third, woo-doo, but it's also showing up in support. I guess that could also be intertwined with acts of service too. I don't really know how that, I'm still learning that one. But I wanted to be loudly supported. And that hindered the confidence that I have. It didn't hinder my skill. It hindered my willingness to keep going because I did not feel like I had support system. And in that, I learned how to do things quietly because I wasn't confident enough to be who I was or what I wanted to do. So in certain ways, some things that you are taught subconsciously hurts you and you don't really know it. Well, you know it, but you don't accept it. A lot of things that you're taught, even culturally or environmentally, changes who you are. For me, I never really followed the norms of what society says a black person is. I was kind of always the one who went against the grain in that. And I don't think a lot of people liked that per se, because I either wasn't black enough or wasn't white enough. I don't know. To reach certain people. And I think the biggest thing about me is that I was very well respected by people, not because I was feared, not because I did anything, I had money or status or anything like that, but because I was genuinely a respectable person. If I had taken anything from all of the generational curses, trauma, and things like that, is that I was taught at least love in its softest form. I have a lot of compassion. I have a lot of empathy for a lot of people. And in turn, that allowed people, I guess, a lot of people would say, for me to get walked over. It happens. But that's also what happens when you don't have two parents in the household. Now, I know this segment isn't about parenting, but you can't necessarily have what's being lost or something that's being taught changing when you get older without your parents. So that's why if you feel like, hey, you seem like you're going off to, I promise you I'm not, okay? It correlates and it comes together. When you have both biological, okay? Because here's the thing. I grew up with primarily my mother, my grandmother, my uncle, grandfather, and I guess for a portion of my life, 2 stepfathers. And those are a lot of different forces molding me as a person. Now, it's genuinely up to me what I take from them, but sometimes that also changes due to emotional turmoil. I did different in love because of what I was shown as a kid. I never saw marriage the way that it's shown in media and things of that nature. I didn't really see it. I wasn't privy to, like, what it all took, what it meant, the commitment. I don't know anybody in my family except for my uncle and aunt, that are still together to this day, that have had long relationships of that sort. And because I've grown with that uncle and aunt, but not to the extent of seeing their marriage, if that makes sense. Like, growing up, they're my uncle and aunt, not a married couple. So I didn't look at them and was like, this is what a marriage looks like. I looked at them and it's like, oh, we finna go to my uncle and aunt house. We finna chill. We finna have great food, drink a little bit, you know what I'm saying, dancing, have a great time, play a little game. That was the common consensus of that. I never looked at them and was like, okay, so this is how they get through arguments. This is how they get through XYZ, this, that, and the third. So when I say this, I'm saying that I never got to see that. So basically, I'm being taught that love doesn't exist, at least in my environment. And when I say go against the grain, I'm going against what I'm being shown. And something being shown can be taught without it being said. If that makes sense to you, okay? It also changes and alters when what I was shown goes against what I'm doing. So let's go back to what I said before, right? I was never shown or have people to show me what a marriage looks like to get advice from a marriage. So me being married, the things that I do won't make sense to them. And I'm not saying that they don't understand me. I'm using it as an example. Because if I were to say something about my marriage or try to seek advice from elders, it's hard to put yourself in a mind frame to understand how to teach that if A, you're not in one currently, or you don't have a viewpoint on it. You know what I mean? So it's hard to get that when you don't have reliable sources to gain that knowledge from. And then what you're looking at is not what you want out of life. So I can't get a marriage or I can't get advice out of a marriage from someone who's single. Yes, you can have an output or an outlook on it, but it's kind of like one of those things where those people in their 60s, you want to learn like what they did to make it work. They could look at you and be like, I remember when that was my time and I did those things. I remember a time where, this is what it looked like for me. You don't necessarily get those when you don't have that to go off of. So what you're learning in your household definitely says a lot about who you are. Because like they always say, it starts in the home. When they say a child has no manners, why don't they have manners? It's not being taught inside your home. And then that's where judgment seeks in when you get older and you have your own cognitive sense and you start to realize, I've been this way. Because it takes somebody to show you who you are sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. But when your heart gets put in a certain place where you're convicted of something, you start to realize that where you came from could potentially have modeled bad behavior. Now, I'm not saying by no means that if you are bad, your family was bad, this, that, and the third. Because that nobody is perfect. But what I'm saying is, even though you could have a good upbringing, there are lessons you could miss because it's not in the home. Why? Because that trickled down from generation to generation to generation. And everybody gets warped up in, well, this is what we've always done. Well, in order to go somewhere you've never been, you have to do some things that you've never done. Especially with an economy that's growing the way that it is. So, to the old heads that are listening, to the elders, I love you. But this is a new era and a new age of life. The way that you operate is not how we operate now. Prices for you to still get up for work and go get it and go do it and go do this is completely different than it is back when your time was. You guys don't want to hear us when we say to you, I could be making $24 an hour and that's still not enough just to live in a home. Take away going out, fast food, this, that, and the third, all the great things that you could do. It's not even enough to do the basic. And your only rebuttal to that is you're not working hard enough. No. It's because people like that are in the office, making it harder for us to just live. That's the bulk of it. And no, I'm not coming at the elders or the old heads or anybody who has those things. All I want is understanding. I'm not asking you to give us answers. I'm not asking you to hold our hand and do everything for us. But we come from you. So instead of ridiculing us for pointing out the obvious that you chose to ignore, join us to make it better. I think that's truly what's upsetting to the elders and to the old heads. We're pushing envelopes that you were too afraid to push. And instead of joining in and being like, you know what, I'm proud of you for going against something and admitting and opening up to the younger people that you were just scared to do it, you choose anger, resentment, and the negatives. It's a common thing that I've heard a lot. No, us younger generation are not the smartest. We do a lot of dumb things. But what we also do is ask the right questions. Force you to actually say what you mean. If you watch my last my last episode, we talked about marriage, right? Divorce rates are a lot higher. Love is a lot less. Why do you think that is? Because you are teaching the next generation the wrong things. It's ironic that you will listen to the things that we complain about, but also teach us the same things that are in the economy. Let me give you an example. We tell you that it's hard for us to live in a basic world in this economy. You hear that and rebuttal with more work, more this, da 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 da. But in the same breath, we'll tell our females to find a man with money. But if I give you the statistics of the amount of men with enough money to actually take care of you and get you to get whatever you want and the amenities and all the things you have to go through to get that, those are very slim. Very slim. Because you guys aren't even putting into the perspective of millionaires aren't scarce anymore. And I say that, and you won't think, damn, that is kind of crazy. You'll say, well, if millionaires aren't scarce anymore, why aren't you making millions? And it shouldn't be that hard then. No, you missed the whole point of why I said that. Back then, being a millionaire was hard, but living was easy. Now anybody can be a millionaire and living is damn near hard because anybody could be a millionaire. Because they have to match that. Because somebody, a 7-year-old can come out with $5 million and guess what? Now other people have millions of dollars. Now they got to match prices. Because there's too many people with millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Back then, it wasn't that many millionaires. It was just people comfortable. That's the thing. It matched. So when those people at the bottom aren't making millions, we're getting pushed out. You guys are teaching us things that aren't beneficial to life and wonder why we fail. And then instead of actually lending a hand of help, not doing it for us, lending a hand to help, a word of advice, you tell us we're not doing enough. And then ridicule how we move. Because at this point, if I'm going to push myself to the ground, I might as well enjoy it, right? I gotta work every day just to make a living, just to make sure I make it to next week. So what do you think I'm gonna do? Because at this point, my body's deteriorating because I have to work 20 times harder just to get the bare minimum, to get food that isn't even good for me. And what do you think I'm going to do after that? If I know that my lifespan is probably going to be cut short because my body's breaking down and the food isn't giving me energy, it's actually making me weaker, I'm going to go have some fun. Before I leave, I'm going to do something, because the last thing I want to do is die knowing that I did nothing but work. Well, you're working towards something to build something for someone else. What? It'd be different if I was actually building something for someone else, but no one's showing me how to do it. And if no one's showing me how to do it and I try to do it myself, I'm told that I'm doing it wrong. And if I'm doing it wrong, then help me. Don't kick me. Because at the end of the day, if I make my check and 600 is on that check, guess what? I'm going to pay all this off, all my bills, all my responsibility, and I'm left with nothing. So you know what comes up next week? I'm finna have a ball. Well, that's the time where you're supposed to be saving and start building and this, that, and the third. Yeah, but the more I build, the more things break down, and then that building turns into survival. You got to learn how to manage to put things to have fun. I'm not going to be alive long enough to do it. Because bills aren't going to get smaller as I get older. They're just only going to increase. So that saving is only going to put me in the middle ground of making sure I don't have to worry when this thing comes. I'm still at the bottom. I'm just not at the bottom. But you don't want to hear that. That's the major issue. And that's okay. You don't have to. It was never a part of your life to do that, because you already lived your portion where you can get your 401k, you can get all of these things that are beneficial to where you don't have to worry about that. What changed for us is how the economy grew. So what you guys taught us wasn't how to live in the new economy. It was how to live in your economy that no longer exists. But let's take livelihood out of it. Let's go emotionally. Let's go mentally. You wonder why a bunch of people in this generation aren't mentally tough and they're so sensitive? You did not teach that same thing. Some things that you were taught that might have hurt, you probably should have kept that. One thing that I heard that I have questions over, I have comments for, that I've heard is bring bullying back. And honestly, I don't all the way disagree. This generation now is way more sensitive. Way more sensitive. And it sucks. Because now we can't even say the truth without it hurting somebody's feelings to the point where they want to unalive themselves. You didn't teach the ability to take criticism. All we're doing now, all I've ever seen with all the kids in my lifetime so far, the now called iPad babies, They have no emotional strength at all. All they know how to do, scroll. They could go to anything, search anything up. They are intelligent children. They will be completely tech savvy. Great. They just won't be emotionally stable. Because the moment you take that phone away, they cry. And what do? Because you don't have the patience to deal with it, you give the phone right back to them. Now, I'm going to sound like a major old head when I say this. But back in my day, when I didn't get what I wanted and I wanted to try to throw a temper tantrum and all of that, I got my ass whooped. I'm keeping it a bean. Yep. Because what you crying for? Because you can't get what you want? You know what that taught me in life? Life isn't going to give you what you want. You need to be okay with it, figure it out, and find something else. These kids coming up won't know that. At all. We are raising temper tantrum babies. Entitlement babies. Why? Because what we were taught changes as you grow up. Because people in my age group, a little older, like that mid-20s to like early 30s section, I almost guarantee you some of our stories are similar. Majority of us were abused, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or all of the above. Majority of us have the ability to understand not only this new generation, but the old one as well. And we all are very sensitive. I'm not gonna lie. We all want to do everything different from how we grew up in our parents or just how we were loved. So if we have kids now, we're trying our best not to be our parents. But here's the thing. Ask yourself this question honestly. If what your parents did was so bad, how did you turn out so great? There had to be something that they did to mold you into that. No, I'm not saying abuse is okay. What I'm saying is, through the midst of that abuse, had there been a little bit of connection where it wasn't abuse and it was discipline, like it was meant to be, and communication, you would have been you, but stronger and more confident. See, what was missing was you didn't do your homework, you got your ass whooped. And that was it. So in your mind, all you know now is, I need to do my homework so I don't get my ass whooped. That was it. You talk back, you get popped in the mouth. Even if you were right. But what you really needed was to understand to, one, stay in your place, be respectful, and to understand that at this moment, you don't know what you're talking about. So instead of just popping you in the mouth and calling it a day, I probably could still pop you in the mouth and be like, listen, I'm the adult here. There are some things that you won't understand until it's your time to do it. And when it is your time to do it, you can come to me and I can teach you. But no, we were getting abused without explanation. So discipline without explanation or without knowledge would classify as abuse. But honestly, you turned out so great because you were disciplined. The trauma set in because you don't know why. And you halfway know why, but you don't know the full extent of what they were trying to do because they never explained it. Hey, to my people in that range that I talked about, I guarantee you all of y'all know this saying, because I said so. I wonder why we all know that. Because we asked a question that was logical, and because our parents weren't able to communicate outside of their emotions, they said, because I said so. Because our parents don't know how to regulate themselves, it was because I said so. You can't grow up learning everything has a reason, and then when asked what the reason is and you don't get one, leaves you confused. So take this in for a moment. When learning how to grow outside of the curse, you're not cursed. You're a product of something that happens over and over and over because people are too afraid to do something different because they're afraid to be left, not be loved, not be supported, not be valued, being alone in a sense of having nobody agree with you. There's so many negatives to doing something different. To your mind. They always say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you can still use a broken remote to change the channel every once in a while. That doesn't mean it functions right. You don't have all the functions. If my channel changing or volume up button don't work, I can still go to the TV and turn it up. Doesn't mean that my remote's still not broken. Just because you can get the job done doesn't mean the primary function wasn't still messed up. So, to those people who are in that spot where you feel like all these things are coming at you, you have all these ideas, you have all of these what ifs, and why did it have to be this way, and I want to be different, then be different. But if you're going to be different, understand the consequences that come with being different. I'm going to be completely honest with you, okay? And you're going to have to accept this. Your family may not agree with you. You might get disowned. You might get black sheeped. You might get ridiculed. Your feelings hurt, made fun of, told that you're weird because you want to do something different than everyone else did. It's going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you this. It's going to happen. You need to be okay with the simple fact that in order to win, you have to win alone. And let me retract that statement because that's not necessarily true. You might have a team of people who actually believe in you. Keep those people near you. Those people that still see the vision, and even the ones that don't see the vision and still have your back, keep them too. But the validation you're expecting it from, you won't get it until you win. Why? because they don't know what's on the other side because they're too afraid to go chase it. Why do you think they think you can't do it? Because they weren't able to. All this time, you're chasing validation from people who are afraid to do it themselves. And the only way they know how to express it is in anger. Has nobody picked up on that yet? If you ever had a moment where you talked to your parents and you wanted to do something, or you question their authority, or question their right or wrong ratio, and then they backtrack it on you, don't you think that that's for a reason? I mean, think about it. The Bible says to honor thy mother and thy father, right? But that's the only thing they stop at. You ever ask your parents why they never read you the part where it also says not to provoke your child to anger? No, you don't ask that. You want to know why? Because they'll get angry. Why? Because you're questioning them. Because they know that if they actually have to look at that, they'll be wrong. And for some reason, they feel like you'll lose respect for them for being wrong. In my personal opinion, and this is just my opinion, I don't know, I'm not a parent yet, but I feel like I would be more respected if I was openly wrong than pretending that I was right and getting mad at you for questioning me. Even if I don't know how to explain it. That's part of the reason why I love people correcting me. Now, let me also say, I'm not perfect when it comes to correcting. Because in correcting, emotions still happen. If I strongly believe in something, my emotions are tied to it. So if you tell me something that I may not agree with or may not want to listen to, I am allowed to be upset. Pause. I am allowed to be upset. You are allowed to be upset. I'm not taking away your ability to not be upset. What I'm saying is, through the midst of being upset, evaluate why you're upset. Because if somebody tells me I'm doing something wrong and I'm upset about it, whether it be because of the delivery, the word choice, or any of the sort, I'm allowed to be upset about it. Now I have to sit with why am I upset about it? Why did it affect me? Why did it hurt me? Why did it make me feel like I wanted to just deck you in your mouth for talking to me different? Because it's true. Sometimes. Sometimes it could be because you don't like your character to be diminished. That's fair. Evaluate it first. Because the Bible also says that correcting is the right thing to do. Not verbatim. Let me just say that. Not verbatim. But basically saying those who are not able to be corrected or angry with being corrected are fools themselves. You're supposed to rejoice in correcting. Again, not verbatim, just based on my understanding of what's in it. It's in Proverbs, by the way, just in case you want to fact check me and look it up yourself. But yes, you should love to be corrected and rejoice with wisdom. It didn't say that you weren't allowed to have emotions. Yes, it's going to hurt and you're not going to know why. But that's where you go seek the wisdom and discernment. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean it's always right. That's where discernment kicks in. That's why you evaluate why it made you feel that way. If it made you feel bad, ask yourself honestly, because you're the only one who has to deal with it. Did it hurt you because it was true, or did it hurt you because it felt like nonsense and it felt like attacking? And even if it felt like attacking, Why did it feel like attacking? Because it probably pinpointed something that you were insecure. Everything has its purpose. It all trickles down whether you like it or not. Stop running from the truth. It's going to hurt. Some things are going to sound like they are hurting your feelings or make you look bad. Who cares what it makes you look like if the only person you are supposed to want to impress is God? I'd rather be killed because I followed my path to Christ than please people who don't care about me. So when it comes down to things that you learned, yes, it is that deep. I think the common thing a lot of people do now is try to play everything off. Like it's not that deep. It's not that serious. It's not. Yes, it is. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't get as mad as you do. You wouldn't feel so passionate about these things. You wouldn't have these ideologies of how you maneuver if it wasn't that deep. Because if it wasn't that deep, you wouldn't actually care. You'd be majorly nonchalant about everything. But when you get so heightened in your emotions because of what somebody says, sounds like you care. Sounds like it's that deep. When are we gonna stop pretending that our emotions mean something? Everybody's so afraid to just show their emotions. It's fair, but it's not valid. All the things you learn growing up, listen to me. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I'm learning it too. I'm still working on it myself. Grow up. Get over it. Forgive them. Move forward. Learn. Listen. Teach. Who you are now and who you were then. If you are an adult listening to this, you no longer have to follow under that guideline anymore. Who you were forced to be is not who you have to be now. It is a choice now. Now you're choosing to be a bad person and blaming it on their trauma. Grow up. It's time. And I don't mean to say any of these things to hurt your feelings. I want to see you win. I want to see more kind people. I want to see more understanding people. I want to see more people actually love people and understand the difference in platonic love and relationship love. I want to see more people less insecure about genders. Why? Because the craziest part about it is, in the eyes of God, we are all brothers and sisters. Mind you, don't put that into perspective of like the relationship and incest thing. Leave that part out of it, okay? I don't know how to explain that right now. One step at a time. But what I'm saying is, we're hating each other for no reason. I'm allowed to be kind and gentle to the next gender. This does not stop me from being a kind person. And no, my kindness is not flirting. My kindness is not me wanting another person. That's just what you were taught. See? But if you don't ever break the mold of what you were taught and ask questions of reality, you'll never break it. My sister-in-law told me about this thing about the Matrix and a simulation. Nah. We've had this conversation. Agree to disagree. There's a lot of things that, we can go on about. But what I want to bring up in this is everything is a choice. If you're in the Matrix, you chose to be. If you're in a simulation, you chose to be. If you feel like everything that you do is on constant repeat, you chose to be. Everything is a choice. Because remember, he gave us free will. We're only doing what the man tells us to do. And we're choosing to do that over and over again. We're choosing to say that men and women can't be friends. We're choosing to say men ain't shit. We're choosing to say all women are promiscuous. Starting to try to change my dialect a little bit. I'm sorry. We're choosing to say that kids can be nothing but YNs. We're choosing to continue on that. And sometimes, little by little, I see little videos of humanity. And it feels good. But then again, you know what I said in the last one. The loudest people are the people who are seen the most. So, to end off this video, I just want to say that all of you guys, I really hope that you find your path. And matter of fact, I'll do you one better. I'm going to pray for you. And I hope that it reaches you. Dear Heavenly Father, I hope that you reach the people that need to be reached. I hope this message gets to people and they can see the value in my words and actually even question me. I hope that whatever path you set them on will get them closer to see you. I hope that in every way, shape, or form that someone is blessed and pass on those blessings to other people. I pray that even in the midst of fire, they still see you. In the midst of anger, they still feel you. In the midst of sadness, you warm their hearts. Lord, I thank you for even giving me the voice or the opportunity to even have a voice to begin with. I pray that you protect those who need protecting. Heal the wounded hearts. Open the minds of people who have been blinded. I pray that you continue to be loving and kind to us, as you always have been. And that the lessons that you teach us, we don't overlook and let our anger surpass what we were supposed to see. Thank you for everything that you've given. Thank you for what you will do, what you have done, and what we don't know is being done. In Jesus' name, amen. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for reading or listening to this message. Thank you guys for allowing me to even speak to you guys. This is a long journey, and I want to continue it with people. I appreciate the feedback that I have been getting from the people who have watched the videos. I appreciate the comments of people who've, challenged me. You know what I mean? I appreciate everything that's been given. This platform is slowly growing, and I hope this grows into a community of people that actually want to heal. And I don't even want to say that I'm in the forefront of it. I just want to say that I was able to open the door for you to walk through. I don't want the praise and recognition of starting something or anything like that. I just want people to heal and be happy with themselves and happy with the people around them. I don't want people to feel hurt anymore. We have too much hurt in the world. And I just want all of you guys to be blessed, be thankful, and hopefully you wake up in the morning feeling better, that you just finished another episode of MontySpeakss. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm playing. But that you're healthy and that you reach a certain level of gratitude for even being able to live a life that you live. Because something that my wife taught me that I take with me everywhere whenever I feel like I don't have enough: it could always be worse. And whenever I think about that, I think about the fact that she's right. That's why in my last episode, I say to choose your person correctly. Because she has molded my mind to different ways that I never thought I would reach. So this is yet again another shout out to my wife for being as amazing as she is and continuing to heal me in ways that she may not even know that she's healing me. And allowing me to actually even be open enough to do this. Encouraging me and supporting me and giving me the tools to not only help our marriage grow, but help this community grow as well. So I want to thank you, to my beautiful wife, for allowing me to be the great man that these people see today. All right, y'all. I love you. Peace.